course, there's other projection methods available to you in ZBrush, namely, probably in this case, you can do project all. So if you go to subtool here and you go to the project area here, if you mask and do project all, if you have another object in here. So let's go ahead and do insert Z-sphere here. So we've got a Z-sphere here. I'm going to go ahead and hit W, and we'll just go ahead and scale this down and kind of move this down here. And now if we have this polysphere sitting here in a polyplane chosen, what we can try and do is go here to control, mask this area here, and then you can do a project all, and that'll try and project that plane to the nearest point. Now, of course, this plane probably needs to be projected to this. So what we can try doing also is hit BZP and go to your ZProject brush, turn off RGB, do Z sub intensity up to 100. And now if you hold down Alt and drag and brush, what you can do is if I go into solo mode, you'll see what I'm doing is I'm basically pulling these vertices towards me. You don't have to be at the highest subdivision level at first to do this. You can kind of work your way up. So we go to subdivision level 5 here and use our ZProject brush. We can hold down Alt and kind of do just kind of a big rough projection here, and then we can go back to subdivision level 6. And because these points are a little bit closer to that sphere, now you might be able to just hit project all and have it start projecting to that cylinder. You can step up in your subdivisions, hit project all, step up in your subdivisions, hit project all, step up in your subdivision, hit project all. And now when I go into solo mode here, you're going to see you have a perfect sphere here. Now if you want, you can try going in here to mask circle. We'll change our stroke to square and center. Actually, you know what might be faster is if you hold down control, instead of doing mask circle, do mask perfect circle. And that'll just go ahead and set the square center for you. And then if you hold down control and drag, you can drag out a mask around that circle. Invert that mask. I'm sorry, don't invert that mask. And we'll go ahead and hold down control, go back to mask pin, and then just mask these areas out. So everything else can just be, again, we've done this before, we're going to go to deformation and we're going to morph this all to the grid and kind of clean that up a little bit. So you can use projection brush, project all in your subtool menu. You might need to do a little bit of cleanup. You can do radial symmetry on here. You can put it right down the middle and do some fancy radial symmetry things. So all of the sculpting tools available to you, you'll be able to do as long as you, again, it can't be a Dynamesh, it can't be an insert mesh brush unless you're going to project it, and you can't use Z-modeler or extrude or anything like that to change the geometry of the plane. And just try and think of anything within ZBrush that you can use to modify this polyplane without slicing it or anything like that. One more thing we can try is this polysphere here. So if we move this polysphere over and we have this selected, what we can give a shot is we'll go BM, and then we'll choose our MatchMaker brush here. And if you hold down Alt, you can force the MatchMaker brush to pull those polyplane vertices towards that sphere that you had. And it's camera based. If you're looking straight at it, it'll probably do a pretty good job. If you go down here and do it, it will kind of skew the results. So it'll kind of pull in that way. Of course, if that's what you're kind of wanting to do, you can use that to your advantage as well. But let's hold down Alt. Oops, it's BMM. And then we can just hold down Alt, like I said before, and go into solo mode. And now you'll be able to see how it's pushing those vertices around. In this case, you probably want to go in here and kind of smooth these results out just a little bit. And any other sort of modifiers, if you want to go to Control Shift, we'll do clip curve, we'll go to the side here. We can clip curve this back. And if you want to just clip this thing back, what we might try and do is do our mask circle center here. Control tap to invert that. And then we can even clip this back as well to kind of flatten that surface out. Then you go in here with your clay brush, or use your maybe a standard brush with the drag dot and an alpha 06, focal shift down at -0, and then we can hold down Alt, crank that Z intensity up, and you can just kind of start making interesting recessed screw ports and things like that with your vector displacement map.